What's up? What's up? What's up, Lions? It's your boy Mason Jaree. If you're new to the Lions, then welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are not new, then you already know what's going on here. And what's going on, we're getting bigger and bigger. We're getting better and better. And we're shitting turds, I mean bricks, on any and everybody who said we aren't who we are. Um, and I'm setting my phone up. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. So. All right, Lions. So I'm back and I'm better and I'm changing like a weather. Okay, so Lions, before I get started, this is not directly to y'all, but I always gotta mention pre-save bigger ain't no lover boy FR and everything like that. So yes, this is just something that I really want to come on here and talk about. I know people, I know my opposition. What's up, Jacoby? What's up, Jacoby? I know my opposition is watching, and this is what I have to say to certain people, to the people from my past, such as ex friends specifically, ex friends, um, exes. It's like, y'all, if I'm being honest, it's like I've had an epiphany, you know? I've had an epiphany and I've had a lot of them. And essentially, I just realized certain people before, they felt like I needed them, y'all. They felt like I needed them. They clown me, they mock my dreams, they mock what I was building, they mocked everything, okay? And so like what I just feel like some of these people, like feel like they want to try to, come back in, because they obviously know we're getting bigger in the Lions Den, y'all. They know we're getting bigger in the Lions Den. I'm doing good, Blakis. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But I'm talking about something right now. I'm talking about something, so yeah, so I'm talking about the opposition. I don't want to get too specifics, but this is somebody who is going against us in the Lions Den. You know what I mean? This is somebody who is going against us in the Lions Den. So, this is the time, where I'm just speaking on a certain matter, bigger and bigger and bigger. And certain people from my past, I met great people who I would consider like guardian angels, and I've also met people who I feel like are just um they wanted to use me. If I'm being real, they wanted to use me, and now that I'm getting more successful, they're trying to you like use me even more. But what I have to say about it is, people need. I'm trying to really find the word, so just give me a second. Give me a second. I'm sitting here staring into abyss. But as a person, to my opposition, always take accountability. Always take accountability for your actions. Always take accountability. I can't even. I'm talking so fast right now, but always take accountability for your actions. Okay, and I just feel like ex friends, my ex specifically, they wanted to use me. They wanted to use me for my light. And like just for my talent and like for what I'm doing, and they didn't really believe in it. And it's like I just, it's like nobody made me but me. Nobody made me but me. That's the main thing. Nobody made me but me. And nobody can ever put me in a scandal or any crazy thing like that. You know what I mean? Or try to put my name in something that just quite frankly I have nothing to do with. You know? As a person in life, you have to take accountability for your actions. You know what I mean? And what I realized is like throughout the course of my friendships with this last group of friends, I was the first person that like shined for real. So people will want me to, go with them to certain things or do certain things, you know what I mean, just to have me there. But they didn't really care about me for real. Or they really just wanted they really just wanted my position, you know? They really just wanted my position if I'm being honest. They didn't really care about me, y'all. You get my drift? So like that's it's a problem for me when I sit back and I think like, dang, like I really was around people who really didn't mean me any good. And like, if I was a dummy, I would be messed up right now. You know what I mean? I would be messed up right now. A lot of, not a lot, because it hasn't been a lot, but the past few, the things that, the past couple months, y'all, like, it's just like, I'm glad that I'm smart and I'm glad that I'm quick with it. You know, I'm glad that I'm smart and I'm glad that I'm quick with it, because if I wasn't, I probably would have tripped up a long time ago. You know what I mean? It's like it's like people, exes and old friends already are trying to put my name, and stuff. And it's just like I'm above it. You know what I mean? I'm above it. And when I say that, I say that and I mean it. Like I'm above it. You know. Um. So like, to the opposition, you can never put me in anything. Especially because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And if I have done wrong, I will take accountability for my actions. But if I have done no wrong, it's no wrong. And I stand on morals and principles, if I'm being honest. I stand on morals and principles. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And that's how it's always gonna be. So I don't ever want anyone to ever think, not anyone, but my opposition, because that's what you are, to be doing something like this. To think you're gonna pin something on me or put me in a situation that's just not, no, never. Never, 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 never. And not to just get, too low brow, I guess, quote unquote, but especially when you always wanted me there. You needed me there to, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, y'all? Like, we're not, this is petty. And this is the stuff you go through when you're elevating. But it's like me, I don't get caught up in the noise, y'all. I won't get caught up in the noise. Um, it just is what it is. I have nothing to do with anybody else's life besides mine and what I'm building in my community. I do not care. Um, and even to my family, it's getting serious, y'all. It's getting serious. They're like, oh, he's serious. Oh, he's really doing it. Oh, yeah. And like, everyone, they doubted me. They felt like to when I came back home, like I can see why they felt like, they doubted me or whatever. I can see why, but it's like I'm elevating y'all. Like I'm doing great. I'm doing like phenomenal, and it's like that's why I really don't care about what people. That's why I really don't care about the noise, if I'm being honest, because I know in real life I'm doing great. It's all gonna be all right, right, Jacoby? I appreciate all my lions in the day, and I appreciate all y'all. Um, so that's that, and it's like I didn't realize just how it's like, at that time it's like I was trying to plan my future with these people, like my friends and everything like that, just trying to put them in my life, you know. And it's like I'm glad that things did not take off because I was around enemies. I was around enemies. It's like not every, but the past year or like the past 2 years, since 2024, because I pay attention to stuff like that. I, it's just been people like friends that friends that I've attracted who've like they've either like wanted to like be like me or like just like it's just weird stuff, weird dynamics, weird stuff that I don't deal with anymore, you know? Or like certain friends who felt like, oh, Mason, his life is great, his life is great. He just, he's ooh, let me just, you know what I mean? Let me try to, and it's like once they really, I guess they get a feel for the shoes, the miles that I've had to walk in these shoes, they be like, oh yeah, I don't know, you know? That's just what I get from it, y'all. That's just what I get from it. Because yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm really I'm really not playing anymore, if I'm being real. Like to the people who are rocking with me, I'm rocking with y'all forever. But going against me, especially when I've done no wrong, is not I just don't do well with that. I do not do well with that. Like to a certain degree, it's like I'm precious. I am precious. And I ain't got time for anybody who's on some malice, evil, twisted stuff. I have to make sure that I protect myself at all costs. So with that being said, it's like I don't think anybody would ever play with me, but just if you thought about it, just think about it again. You know? And I'm not talking about y'all, of course, Lions. I'm talking about the opposition. Because I told one of my friends earlier today, I said, I don't know the higher version. mean version of myself. Like I haven't got there yet, and I don't want to scoop down. You know what I mean? I'm really on my you take the higher road, but in a self, a good way for me. So that is just that. That's just really where I am. Even with my family, my mama, my stepdad, my brother, uh, just all of them just counting me out. Just thinking that I was not going to succeed based off how they viewed their life. You know what I mean? Because they felt like, oh, Mason went to college at 16 and he didn't graduate. Whatever. However, that I'm just going off the perception of how they made me, feel like I'm not doing good or I'm not doing great or what I'm doing is not working out. And now they're seeing like, oh yeah, it's working out for him. Oh yeah, he's really doing it. And I don't rejoice in my enemy's downfall, but that's what they have become, y'all. Like I don't deal with my mama, I don't deal with my stepdad, I don't deal with my brother, I don't deal with my family. Okay. I'm really like a lone wolf, if I'm being honest. I'm self-sufficient and I'm self-made. I have really built myself up brick by brick, not only in my career, but in my personal life, my morals, my standards, everything about me, I've done it myself. Um, so, yeah, yeah. And it's like, I don't have time for beef. I don't beef, babes. I don't beef, sincerely, Um, I'm focused on my goals. Like, I don't have time to give negative, like, pay attention to negativity. Um, Not to y'all know what I say, like not to get too like spiritual, mystical, but I don't got time to be lowering my vibration. Like I need to remain like up and like in a natural way. Like tomorrow starts my 30-day like no smoking, no anything. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm ready to get more in tune with myself. Get more in tune with myself. Get more like acclimated to just this new version of me. You know, um, and this new version of me, I think if I'm being honest with y'all, it's like I created like a caricature version of myself. Growing up, I guess you can say, gay, um, bigger, you know, and masculine, from the South. It's like I had to create this like uh grandpa version of myself. And you see a lot of gay men do that. Like a lot of gay men, make a grandpa version of their self, specifically from the South. And it's like me really, and it's like kind of like a grandpa hyper, like not hyper, but masculine, feminine twin. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That grandpa, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I realized like that isn't me. That's just a version of myself that I made around, like, just from growing up and stuff like that. Like, and this is me. This is a part of me, like just talking and being like chill and it's like I can get you know, but it's a time to perform and it's a time to be chill and I'm just learning like I don't have to be who everybody else around me wanted me to be. You know, I don't have to do any of that, and I don't have to like deal with toxic people either. I don't have to be around toxic people. I don't have. I love you too, Blakis. I love you always and forever, and don't you forget it. I don't have to be around toxic people. You know, um, and yeah, and it's like I'm trying to open myself up to love. I'm trying to open my heart up to love. I do have a problem with like vulnerability, and being open about how I feel. But yeah, it's like I'm just giving my truth. I'm just giving my truth. And my truth is I'm not for the games. I'm not for, like the games with outside people. And it's just because I don't do that. Like I don't do that. I don't do tit for tat. Like, yeah, sometimes I get a little, what do they say, fleshy, but I'm not trying to get too mystical, spiritual, mystical. Sometimes I will go there. But all in all, that's not the right way to go. I'm about having class, poise, being a little regal and elegant. I'm sorry to say, like just even this like I won't say hood persona, but me, having to, I come from the ghetto, you know, y'all know everything we've been talking about as far as just like poverty and just everything like that I've come from. Even just the hood version, of the hood masculine gay, like that hood masculine gay. Cause y'all know before I really just accepted my name Mason. I was going by Jai. was going by Jai. So, like, just that hood version of myself, because I'm from the hood, but it's just like I realized that's too much. And it made me realize it's not me. And it also made me realize that, that grandpa thing that we just talked about. So, yeah, um, mm-mm. I don't really, I'm just finding myself. I'm finding myself. And it's like, I'm here, I'm good. Uh, but it's like, at the same time, y'all, if I'm being honest, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's like every time I find a moment of peace, y'all know, like a chihuahua, it be shaking and shivering. It's like I think it's just like from every time something good happens, I expect something bad to happen, but like it's like no, this time everything good is happening and it's going good for a reason. So it's like yeah, I do get a little bit anxious when I'm completely calm and things are completely calm because it's like what's going on, what's the move, what's the vibes, um, but yeah, it's so many different like adversities like that I've overcome like so many, and it's like I'm not trying to be a simp or anything like that, but I have to take that into accountability, just reflecting on myself and like how I am as a person, um because I'm not just I'm not just like this for like like a reason. I've been through trauma, I've been through things, been through a lot of different things, and I'm healing myself, life is very great, life is very great. I'm sorry that the notifications, the buzz throws me off too. But yeah, um, I just, not even I just, it's like, I understand like there are consequences, for actions that you make and everything like that. And I think like some people have been trying to like take me out of my character, you know. I think some people have been trying to like take me out of my character and push me to a certain level or push me somewhere where I don't want to go, because if I'm being honest with y'all, I'm scared of just that version of myself. I'm scared of the version of me who really spazzes out and just blacks out on somebody. I don't want to ever meet him ever, ever, because like I don't like being ugly. I don't like doing, you know, lashing out and being like violent, That's not me. I will tell it how it is. But there's a difference in telling it how it is and being blunt and being violent and being aggressive and being like uh just you don't put your hands on people. That's just how I am. You just don't put your hands on people. But I think like, people have been pushing me to that point. And it's like I gotta remember who I am, what I'm building. And it's like the reason why I say I think people have been pushing me to that point is because I never was a fighter for real. You know, I've never really had to fight growing up. I said what I said. I meant it, and whether people talk shit about me behind the scenes or not, they didn't ever try me for real. You know, but the me now is like you know, with everything that I went through, it's like yeah, I want somebody to try me, but it's like no, Mason, I gotta remember what I'm building. I got to remember what I'm building, but it's like people will try you. I think people would, people will try. I think people try me because they see what I'm building. That's even more reason for me to be like, nah, don't even fall victim for it. So that's why I don't give my opposition any of my energy, you know. But if I'm being real, part of me is always like attuned to it. So it's like I'm always ready for whatever. You know what I mean? I'm always ready for whatever because yeah. I think some things really have to really just have to go by with time. I think some people have to accept the fact that um, it, some people wanted my story in their life to be Mason was down, Mason needed me, I was around Mason throughout his come up, and yeah, I'm the reason. And it's like no, Mason is the reason, and I've always been the reason, and I'm gonna be the only reason. Yeah, um, and that just wasn't the story. It just wasn't the case. It's not never gonna be the case. Um, the people that I've never needed anybody. Let me say that, but I've never been too shy to ask for assistance because if you don't ask, you won't get any help. you know. But when it comes down to the music, the grinding, the work ethic, everything like that, the late nights, the early mornings, everything like that, I've built this brick by brick, and I don't care if anybody's speaking on it. But just to clear, to clear it up, nobody did anything, maybe shared a laptop or something like that, but when it comes down to it, yeah, I think before y'all a couple, I won't say what month it was, sometime this year, but I really had to get into a thing to where the people who like me, who who I really didn't, let me say it like this. I had a problem with like telling my, because people in my life, they've been friends with me and they've always tried to make a move on me. It's never fails. It never fails. And that, like, it makes me feel like, if I'm being real, disgusted. Like, not with them but with myself, because what about me gives off do that? It takes me back to a time. So like, I think certain people feel like they like were like obligated to me. If I'm being real with y'all, I think people felt like they were obligated to me, and I had to get to a point to where I told people no, like, I don't want to deal with you. You know what I mean? And if I'm not gonna lie, if I'm gonna be honest and real, yeah, at some point I may have needed somebody for something. However, I always had my own shit. You know what I mean? I always had my own rock to, to like come back to. Um, but I had to learn to tell people like, no, this is what it is, and even with me, if I would, me just chilling with myself, I'm like, you, Mason, I gotta tell people no. But it's like, yeah, I'm still learning that. Like, no, I said no. I said what I meant, and I meant it. Like, and I think certain people take my no for a joke, and that is kind of annoying, you know. Um, I think certain people take my no for a joke, and that is kind of annoying, Um, when it comes down to that, Um, and I think, not even I think, people become obsessed, and it just gets to be too much. It just gets to be too much, So, and I look back on, like, just when, just in moments and being in the connection with, I look back on moments like, with being in that connection and everything like that, and just how that person was like trying to like morph, like, I'm not gonna say morph into me, but just morphing into me for real. Like, it's been a lot of that, and a lot of my relationships and stuff like that. People just trying to like, like, disregard me while lifting themselves up, and it's like, no, you know what I mean? Like, no, I've dealt with a lot of that. People trying to like, do that and stuff like that. But the opposition, I really don't. I really don't. As simply as it's put, just don't cross me. Don't cross me or think you're gonna set me up, or think you're gonna plot me, or think you're gonna put me in some scheme, or think you're going to, you know, excuse me, put me on something that I have nothing to do with at all. What's up? What's up, Wardo Miricado? Welcome to the Lions Den. We just had a good little, discussion, but definitely tap in with me tomorrow. I'm going live tomorrow morning for episode 20. Ricardo, what's up, Ricardo? If you're available tomorrow morning to join the live at 10:30, we're going live. Um, yeah, but I'll tap in with you and everybody else tomorrow. Keep shining. It's your boy Mason Jyree. Welcome to the Lions Den. We getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We keeping it sexy. We keeping it hot. And I'll see y'all see y'all soon.